Hello, this is saxophonist Antonio Parker, and this is a conversation in jazz, where we are promoting jazz through telling the stories. Our guest today is the wonderful jazz bassist, composer, and educator, Mr. Pepe Gonzalez. We ask you to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so we can let you know when we are posting another video or going live. We also ask you to donate to our Cash App in order to support the channel and help us to produce future videos. Our Cash App is $Jazzology 101. That's $Jazzology 101. Enjoy the video. Hi, I'm saxophonist Antonio Parker, and this is a conversation in jazz. Our guest today is a multi-styled acoustic and electric bassist, composer, and educator, and has been a staple in the Washington, D.C. area for many years. His band ZAPATA was one of the first integrated bands consisting of African Americans and Hispanics in the DMV. ZAPATA has opened for many great bands such as Miles Davis, Herbie Hancock and the Headhunters, Weather Report, Rashan Roland Kirk, Sly and the Family Stone, Gil Scott-Heron, and more. Our guest has performed for former U.S. presidents, as well as performed nationally and internationally with many great jazz icons. He has performed on over 30 recordings, and his debut recording is entitled Looking Back. Please welcome my big brother, the wonderful bassist, Mr. Pepe Gonzalez.
Antonio.
Pepe, how you doing, good brother?
Good, brother.
Man,
thank you for having me, man.
It's such an honor and a privilege, man,
mine,
to
brother.
be able to just chop it up with you, man. We've known each other for a long time.
40-some years, man.
I don't know.
Almost
I
40.
ain't that.
Neither am I, man.
I think it was about at least 30.
You came in the early 80s, right?
I came actually in the mid 80s. At like 87. I came out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
so-
that's when I met you.
Yeah, so we met
So
around
almost 40.
Yeah, almost.
And we only 20.
Yeah. And man, you always had just such a gracious spirit about you, man.
It takes one to know one, you know.
Yeah, so
Thank you, brother.
yeah. And your lovely wife, Imani, performed on my first
CD?
CD,
Yeah,
The Exchange, man, and she just a wonderful talent, man. We're gonna talk about Imani. And man, so I'm just glad to have you here. This is a conversation in jazz, and I say we learn the story behind the story. Now, though we've known each other for all these years, there's a lot that I don't know and that I would like to know. So my first question is, who is Pepe Gonzalez?
First of all, a father and a person who learns from the bass and from his students.
No doubt, yeah. And what has music done for your life?
Whew, that's a heavy question, man. You know, during that ZAPATA, I really got into music by fluke, because I had never had any. I knew a lot of the African Caribbean drumming, Cuban, and we messed around with all the mambos and guaguancos, and you knew that because that was innate. But as far as being a musician, all the other cats played guitars, and one of them said, "Yo, Peps, man, would you get a bass?" And I go, "Bass?" Well, but we were also, that group came out of a street gang. But a street gang that was really more so not offensive, but more to defend people who usually had run home or got their tail whooped on the street.
Wow.
So we formed, which was, again, the first gang of that street gang. I hate to call it that, but it was. Had jackets and the whole thing.
Really?
Right? Yeah, man. I mean, to the point that we got implicated in some real serious things. So we were growing up on Mount Pleasant in the early 60s, man, was a challenge. So a lot of times different paths were open, which were not really the good paths.
Mm-hmm.
What does music have mean to me? It was my lifesaver, man.
Wow. Wow.
Because when I realized that I was really getting into some dark areas in my life, when I realized that I wanted to pick up the acoustic bass in my early 20s, that saved my life, man, because I sat down to 6, 7, 8 hours daily, man.
Wow.
So while the riffraff was coming knocking at my door, I was, nah, man, you're too little. You don't know nothing about music, man, and all this and all that. And I said, nah, man, I want to learn it, you know. Yet a lot of them were getting shot. A lot of them got real heavy into drugs and OD'd and died.
Wow.
So here I am, I'm looking back, you know, and I'm going like, wow. But I'm still here, and all these brothers I grew up with, man, gone, man. So it's my lifesaver.
Wow.
I tell everybody that.
Yeah.
It's saved
That's
my
heavy.
life.
That's heavy. Yeah. I think it did the same for me too, man, because, you know, I came up at the beginning of what they call the crack era. And while people I knew was trying to hustle and do all that, I was trying to learn how to
Play
get to the
you
music.
stayed away from it.
So, man,
I remember
music
that
does
era.
that. Yeah.
Boy, do I remember
man.
that.
And could you have ever imagined some of the places you played, some of the people you've played with? Like, could you see that?
No. Even now, I got to pinch myself. Was that for real, man? No, man,
Yeah.
I didn't. I mean, you know, here I am, 17, 18, playing an electric bass and opening up for most of those names that you had.
Yeah.
Come on, man, I'm still in high school. Everybody else was, I was the
Miles
youngest. back then.
Davis.
Yeah, man, and you know,
Wow.
you know, I mean, and Herbie Hancock, the
Yeah.
first ever concert at Crampton Auditorium was the Headhunters, the first one ever.
Really?
Yeah, check out his book. He mentions it in his book. We open up for that.
Really?
band.
Wow. We're gonna talk about that band, man, but that's heavy, man. That's heavy. You came along in a nice time, I think, too, in terms of music.
I did.
Yeah, because it was coming out the '60s and all that, man. So
In a way, I was a product of the old color guard. The old black folk that gave it to us.
wow.
You see?
Yeah.
No, Paps, you ain't playing this. Right? No, man, what you doing, boy?
Yeah.
Boy, you better go home and learn.
Yeah.
You got all them records. Be listening. You know, man. But they did that with love. They were, a lot of times they were aggressive.
Yeah.
But you could tell that it was a love.
Yeah.
You know, Keita Batts, Marshall Hawkins.
Wow.
You know, Steve Novosel, man. Always encouraging. John Malachi, always encouraging.
Wow. Yeah, man. Beautiful.
When they, Bernard Harper and I had just finished doing a gig at Pirates Hideaway, and John Hendricks and John Malachi showed up, but the bass player from New York and the drummer missed the train. So you know, here I am about like 4 years into playing the bass, right, with Bernard, because I was with Bernard, the Harper brothers. And I didn't know like 50% of the tunes, and John Malachi says, "Come here, Pepe, just sit right here, man." And I called him out, and he called out all those tunes.
Wow.
Like, come on, brother.
Beautiful.
Come on, man. You know, yeah.
Beautiful.
You don't get that nowadays, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was very important.
And you know, as a youngster around that, well, a little after that, but coming up, man, we listened to the elders.
Unlike what's happening now.
Yeah, we listen. I mean, we listened.
Yes.
And it didn't matter how good they played or not.
You still listen to them
listen.
because of the wisdom that they carried, no matter
doubt
what,
about
musical or life.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't see a lot of that. Yeah, but yeah, I caught the tail end of some of that.
No, because there was still some.
Yeah.
There was still some.
Yeah.
Lawrence Wheatley, Maria Rodriguez, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Those were institutions that nobody talks about.
Exactly. No
You
doubt.
know, I wrote songs for them, and I play them in their memory and in their honor, because ain't nobody talking about them. But how many musicians did those two people put out in the DMV area?
No doubt. Wow.
Through first of all, Maria, through her big bands, And then Lawrence through his jam sessions and his own compositions. One Step and the first Columbia station, not the one that everybody goes to now, the real one, the one that was right there on Columbia Road, not 18th Street. So yeah, man, those people. I mean, we owe them. We're standing on their shoulders, man.
Yes, sir. No doubt about it. Yeah, man. Now, where are you originally from?
That's a long story, man. Now, everybody, that's a long ass story, man. A lot of people think that I'm Puerto Rican, which I am, and I have people, but I was born in Spain, man.
Wow. Oh, wow. You were born in Spain?
I was born in Spain, man.
Okay.
Although we have people all over the joint.
Yeah. So were you raised to a certain point in Spain?
Yeah. I grew up there the first 8 years of my life, man.
Okay.
Then I came to United States, beginning of civil rights.
Wow. Do you have memories of when you were coming up in Spain?
Yeah, man. I mean, those memories were the only things that helped me through the first 2-3 years, because, man, the dynamics of America, I never knew. It was like, I didn't even know that society was that way, man, because I didn't grow up that way.
Yeah.
My mother and my father were completely different. And when I came and I'm watching black and white television and seeing the injustices going down, man.
Yeah.
It was like mind-blowing, man. Yeah. So the only memories that were tangible for me to hold on to was not my first impression of America, but the ones that kept me alive were the ones as I was growing up, because I grew up free, man, climbing trees, barefooted. I mean, it was like land till you couldn't see anymore, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, those was...
and people get along. Yeah, and community and family and the love. So there's a lot of love. You still see that when you travel to certain places, man.
Well, I have a saying about that. Folk is folk no matter where you go on the planet.
Yes.
Folk. The word folk.
Uh-huh.
The sentiments are always the same, man. I've been in a few places on the planet, man, and folk is folk.
Where we go.
It's the same folk. When I came to the United States and we moved to Mount Pleasant, black folk, there were 3 generations at that time, but the grandparents and the parents, South and North Carolina, Mississippi, and Alabama. And man, I'll tell you, man, when my father was cooking chitlins, and them old black folk would come by and they would smell it and they go, what y'all Spanish people know about? I didn't know they were called chitlins. In Spanish, we call them callos, right? So they go, what y'all? And when they tasted my father's chitlins, bro, it was forget it, man.
Wow.
Every time they would come by, yo, Mr. Sayers, you got some chitlins? But the point I'm trying to make is the sentiments.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was the same.
Yeah.
They loved my mother. They loved my father. My father could hardly speak English.
Yeah.
But they communicated with, So I'm a product of black folk, man.
Yeah.
I'm a product of black folk, man.
Yeah.
I survive America through a black perspective. You know that.
Yeah. Wow. Beautiful. And so you came from Spain right to D.C. in the 60s.
In the 60s, bro.
Woo.
Yeah. But we had people in Puerto Rico, in Cuba, and in Venezuela, but at that point...
So you had family in Puerto Rico and all that?
Well, my last uncle died. Well, we call him an uncle. He was married to one of my aunts. And some of my cousins actually also passed. That we have no one in Puerto Rico now. But we still have about a good... maybe 1/5 of the family in Cuba, and I still have maybe about 1/10 of them in Venezuela. Wow.
When you were coming up, what kind of music were you listening to?
Well, that's funny, man, because, we were listening to what the parents listened to, and there was a lot of Afro-Cuban music. We didn't call it Afro-Cuban back then. We just called it Cuban music, Puerto Rican music, Spanish flamenco. And they liked a lot of the Carlos Gardel, the Argentinian singer, real soulful man, and of course a lot of the tango. But we thought that's old folks music, man. You know, I mean, you grew up with it, you listened to it at home all the time, but as soon as you walked out, I was listening to, you know, since I was hanging with the brothers and the sisters, I grew up with soul music. You know, and I still got, so I was listening to that until one day, 1966 or 67, there are three of us, man, that we were three Latin cats that were always on the black side, and even the Latin cats used to call us the N-word lovers.
Wow.
Serious, man. But we were walking up in the, it must have been about like 11 o'clock up Columbia Road, and we see white people for the first time at night.
Wow.
Columbia Road?
Yeah.
So, I remember walking up and we said, yo, man, what's wrong with this picture? And they go, oh, damn, white people.
Yeah, wow.
Well, this was the Ambassador Theater, which is now where they had, the Ambassador Theater was there. They knocked that down. But historically, it was a tremendous theater for many reasons, which I won't get into. But we asked the young ladies and some hippies, what's going on? And they pointed, and it said, Jimi Hendrix. And Strawberry Alarm Clock, I think, or... So can we go in? Well, you can't go in. You have to pay $2 to go in. But you can look through the door, and we see this brother, before bushes and all that, his hair, you know, and never seen a brother like that. And then a left-handed guitar. It blew our mind.
Now, you know who it was?
Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, it was Jimmy.
Jimi Hendrix.
Wow.
On Columbia Road, brother.
And you looking at him through a window?
No, they actually let us go at the door. See, we used to go to that movie house, the theater, and we knew how to come up the fire escape. One cat would pay, go up, open the fire door, and we all be waiting up there. So we knew the ins and outs, and also the side door, which we went through to look. But the side door put you almost like in front of the stage. And Jimmy, I remember him grabbing the microphone stand. We ain't never seen nor heard anything like it. So that opened up a whole new can of worms as far as what we were listening to, because then I started listening to him and other people that he was involved with, you know. But it took a while for us to get there. By then, we realized that the music that we grew up with, more of the Afro-Caribbean music, that we thought we would never touch again, we were starting to play again. No longer, oh, that's the old man's music. It's, man, no, oh man, there's a lot here, you know.
Yeah. Wow. So you got to see Jimi Hendrix?
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that like, man? I mean,
well, you know, it was flipped, man, because you didn't know who he was until like about a year later.
Okay.
And I go, I know this cat. You know, it blew my mind. He was there a whole week.
Wow. That's cool, man. Wow. So, doing a little traveling, and you talking about music, it was like the Latin music, Afro-Cuban. I noticed that, and when I go to different, how music is so integral to the culture and the bring together people. How did you get that in Spain?
Well, no, because my mother was a real good singer, but I never saw an instrument because we was, you know.
Okay.
I mean, like, let's put it this way. This was during the Franco regime. And don't forget that the Franco regime, Franco, Mussolini, and Hitler.
Wow.
Franco was the only one left alive till 1974, I think it is. Don't quote me on that. But we were still living under his regime, bro.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Fascist regime.
Yeah. Wow.
So arts, no. They knew that arts were the liberators.
Yeah.
So they squelched all the arts, all the writers. I mean, they killed some of the greatest writers and some of the greatest writers that spoke against. Were killed, you know. So that was not rarely available to us, man. You know, only till we got here, then I would see everybody had instruments, man. You know, I'd twinkle it on the piano and go, oh, wow. Man. but no, in Spain, no.
Wow.
It wasn't until I got here that the exposure.
But Spain has so much culture, man.
Well, now it does.
Yeah, okay.
Now, I mean, it always had.
Yeah.
But when you live under
Yeah.
it was like, literally, bro.
Yeah, wow. That's right.
When I think back, it's like, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it was almost beyond surreal, man. You know.
Yeah. I want to talk about Latin jazz. You mentioned. You know, percussionist, saxophonist Ivan
Navas.
Yeah.
I raised that boy.
Yeah, Ivan, that's my man. But he's a great teacher.
Yeah,
and,
he's a good communicator.
He did some professional developments on rhythms and stuff, man. And
I've done some work with him.
Yeah, and he's so serious. And I was really, when he was, because I've known him from playing in the UDC jazz band,
right?
But when and you know and he was just playing saxophone, so I didn't really know he was into percussion. Yeah, but man, he's really serious about Latin rhythms and know the history and all that. So I wanted to give our audience some history on it, so that you can so that we can have an idea of a way to understand it or how to connect these things. First of all, what is Latin jazz?
Let me digress a little.
Okay.
When Chano Pozo came, and then Decio Arnaz, Babalu, Decio Arnaz with Lucy show. Well, we see him as like almost like a prop, but he was a hell of a fine musician in Cuba. If you were to look at now, when I look at his band, I go, he had band on television with some of the baddest Latin cats and Afro-American people playing that music.
Wow.
Well, we know that Chano Pozo with our man Dizzy Gillespie was really the first time that we saw something being integrated, and it was, but it was bebop with Chano playing some Cuban rhythms. And this took on, this was during the 40s. In the 50s, some things started coming up. They were beginning to be a little different, where the new generation of Puerto Ricans in New York, born and raised in New York, knowing the Afro-Puerto Rican and the Afro-Cuban, and then learning the jazz.
Wow.
Ray Barreto, Eddie Palmieri, Julito Collazo, some of the baddest cats had one foot here and the other foot there. So, for example, a lot of the Blue Note, if you look, Ray Barreto was one of the main cats. Julito Collazo was there also. And they were already beginning to integrate it a little more. But then when they started using jazz as their medium, but with all of the battery, all of the rhythmic battery of the Afro-Cuban, Afro-Puerto Rican music, it took a whole different shape. It wasn't called Latin jazz then, although people were trying to give it that name. And it's funny because I remember when I turned this record on to all the jazz cats and then to all the Latin cats, the Gonzalez brothers, Jerry Gonzalez and Andy Gonzalez, who also played and recorded with Dizzy. There are quite a few things out there with them on Dizzy's. When they came out with Ya Yo Me Curé in 1974, I think that was the moment, if we were to give it a name like Latin jazz, because, those are just other people's names for our music. But when that came out, Ya Yo Me Curé with Hilton Ruiz, with Carter Jefferson, I mean, blacks and Hispanics again.
Yeah. Wow.
And the music that came out of there, bro. I mean, that record, I played it for Paul and goes, no, Pepe, man, that's too Latin, man. And then I would play for the Latin cats, and the Latin cats would go, no, Pepe, eso muy jazz, eso muy... Little did they know that we are now we're playing from their offerings. We're playing this music through the Gonzalez brothers and their whole ensemble.
Wow.
And after that, with all the cats that had been born and raised in in New York, that's how Latin jazz really started. I mean, in the 70s is where it started taking off.
Wow.
But I don't think that up to that point, you could have called it Latin jazz.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it hadn't been melded, it hadn't been
Gotcha.
merged to the extent that whole ensemble in all their cohorts had done it. And the way they did it was still doing, everybody, David Sanchez, all the cats come out of that school.
Gotcha. So why do they put Afro in front of Afro-Cuban, Afro?
And I'll tell you why, man.
Okay.
Because we were tired of the racism. Because everything that comes out of the coastal South America and the Caribbean is African derived.
Okay.
Africa, dum dum, boom 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 boom, barangdarangdaragada, gugum gum, paradagadaga, gugum gugum gum, ra ragatagataga, patagotogum, ping ting ting, gum 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 gum, patum bum bum dum. The swing ain't not new, bro.
Yeah.
Swing comes from West Africa. The dum dum, everything that the bass player plays in Central South, in South America, coastal, because that's where most of the enslaved Africans stayed. And in the Caribbean, all we call the bass lines tumbaos, which the proper word, tumbao, is a street. You know how we cut things in the street. So tumbao means tumbadora. Everybody thinks that the conga is a conga. No, we have the quinto, the one that speaks. Ra, cucu, pada. Then we have the conga that's usually the one that keeps the middle rhythm.
Yeah.
But the deep one is called tumbao.
Yeah.
We, the bass players, play with the tumba. That's what they say, oye, toca este tumbao, play this tumbao, meaning play this drum.
Yeah. Wow.
That's all African, brother.
Yeah.
That's all African.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah. Wow. Now, so there's a connection. Is there a connection between all these different? So you got the Brazilian jazz, you got
Brazilian
Caribbean.
comes from the same thing, bro.
Really?
Yeah. They all come from different tribes from West Africa who, when they came here, they basically, developed it into a more modern style. But if you listen to the main rhythms, they're the same rhythms that they've been playing for 4,000 or 5,000 years in Africa. They come from old rhythms. Senegal, Nigeria, Ghana, those, Sierra Leone, Ivory Coast.
Really?
Yeah, man. It's all the same, man.
Wow.
It's all African derived.
Now, so there are different types of what we call Latin rhythms. Mambo, cha. Now,
Yes.
Now, are these the derivatives of certain places?
Well, it all depends. Most of them are rhythms.
Okay.
Whenever, like when you say rumba, mambo, cha-cha, guajira, samba, the bossa nova came later in the 60s because it was samba, but in a slow down fashion. But for example, in the samba, the deep drum, which is called the sordo, is so if you're playing a samba,
Wow. Man, I gotta do some homework, man.
No, it's all there now. Now you have YouTube, you can just hit it. Before, this was.
But I kind of want to try to piece it together to try to understand it, to how is all this stuff connected.
Well, it connected. It connected when the word that connects it all is the word that you asked about, Afro.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
We brought it home.
Beautiful.
We took it away from the people who were interpreting it for us.
Okay.
And we brought it home by giving it the proper name.
Wow.
That's how you meld it all together.
Wow. Thank you, sir. You performed with the great Maria Rodriguez. And her Latin Jazz Orchestra.
Oh, yeah.
What was that experience like? What was she like working with her?
First of all, she was God's gift. Let me put it this way. She could play avant-garde. She could play straight ahead. She could play all of the Cuban stuff. and she could read classical music upside down.
Wow.
That woman was so bad that, by the way, when, I got her a mural. I don't know if you're aware of that.
No.
Yeah, I got her a mural, and the people came to me because they knew how tight. In the last days of her life, she would only accept my wife and I to come to her house and be with her.
Wow.
To the point that she would not let me go until she died.
Really? That's heavy.
But she was a giver. She took a lot of us out of the street. By then, I was already in my 20s and 30s, But she took a lot of young kids that had the interest but didn't know. She brought up black kids and Latin kids, and once in a while, some white kids, man. They became players. Some of the finest players right now came through her school. Well, a lot of people didn't know. And the Smithsonian, when they came to me, and they said, talk to us about Maria Rodriguez, because we're trying to give the Latin community, more prominence.
Yeah.
And we're thinking about maybe making a mural, dedicating a mural to her. And I said, well, one thing we have to know about Maria Rodriguez is that she was a black American woman from Ohio, one of the first black people to, I think, get a master's and graduate from Oberlin at that time.
Wow.
But we wanted a Latin person. And I go, you can't get more Latin than her. For two reasons. Because Luis Salome was an Afro-Cuban bassist that taught all of them, Paul Hawkins and all of them in late 40s, early 50s, through the 50s and 60s. He taught them all about the Afro-Cuban music, and Maria was a recipient of the piano parts. She married Tito Rodriguez, another bass player from Santo Domingo, and a vocalist and also a percussionist. Tito Rodriguez. So Maria took Jean Marie Butler, was her name. So she took the Jean out, the Butler out, and put Maria, instead of Marie, Maria Rodriguez.
Yes. Wow. Beautiful.
She was called by some of the baddest classical people.
Wow.
To play for them. All the Latin bands wanted her. All the jazz bands. Who's the wireless tenor player that you know in D.C.?
Andrew White?
That was his piano player always.
Wow.
Can you imagine? To play with him.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Beautiful. Man. You also performed with the great Tito Puente.
We did. That was by fluke, man, because they asked us to do a celebration for him. The Smithsonian was celebrating him, and he couldn't stay seated, man. He got up there, man, and with you remember Ricky Losa?
Yeah, Ricky Losa.
Ricky Losa was a tremendous
drummer.
Technical drummer.
Yeah.
Man. And man, we jammed, bro. It stopped being a concert. It became a jam, and it went on. And the very next day, he asked us to come back and play with him.
Wow.
We also Patato Totico. We had him in Maria's band, Patato. Patato from Patato and Totico, two bad. I mean, when you talk about Afro-Cuban drummers, Patato was one. Wow. Patato Valdez. We also had the pleasure of playing with them. These are people like Max Roach in comparison, you know.
Beautiful. What is the Sonora del Barrio?
Sonora del Barrio is
band.
The Sonora. You know, the few groups in Puerto Rico and in Cuba, they're called Sonora of this, sounding of, or those who sound of this.
Okay.
Barrio means, it has two meanings. It means neighborhood, but it also could mean ghetto.
Ghetto,
like,
okay.
You know. So the Sonora del Barrio was a conglomerate that I put together with some African American cats and Latin cats to play how we DC interpreted.
Gotcha. Okay.
That music. See, by the way, if you ever read Chuck Brown's book, he says the go-go would have never been go-go without the Latino brothers.
Yes, that's right.
That's what he was talking about.
That's right.
ZAPATA.
Wow.
We had 4 drummers in our band, and the whole band knew how to play all of the percussion. So I'm gonna say something, audience don't. Man, we take the sisters be hanging with us after the show. So the brothers, the brothers from Aggression, Soul Searchers before Chuck Brown, Experience Unlimited. I mean, all those we grew up with those bands, right? Brute, Leadhead, another group from Baltimore, man, Madhouse. Well, they'd be saying, man, y'all Negroes be taking on the girls, man. And then the girls would say, that's because they got that bad rhythms. Brothers didn't have no congas on stage prior to that.
Gotcha.
They didn't.
Yeah.
It was straight.
Yeah.
But little by little, you started seeing some congas. And you start hearing boom, but then people forgot that there was the fundamental go-go. And a lot of people think that it was the go-go bands that made go-go. People forgot that, man, during the late 80s and early 90s, we had them young bucks downtown playing the buckets. And the rudiments that they created was beyond comprehension, man. These little kids were playing rudiments that made... Really, ain't nobody talking about that. They're not talking about the artistry of go-go. They kept go-go in a primitive place. But if you heard those brothers, that some became drummers and incorporated that in the new go-go.
Yeah.
But it was them young bucks that really made go-go.
Wow.
But had it not been for ZAPATA with all them drums, it might have been a little later.
Yeah. That's interesting, man. I mean, so let's talk about that. Go-go. You saw the evolution.
Oh, yeah. I know the evolution.
You've been through,
I was there from the very beginning.
Yeah. And to see where it's at now.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people that weren't there and hear me talk, they go,
yeah.
And I go, how old are you, my man?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why you're doing it. I said, I was there, bro. I was 17 when this was happening.
Wow. That's heavy, man. And so all those Latin rhythms are embedded in what they call
African rhythms.
You say African, okay. Embedded in what we call go-go.
Well, that is an extension of Africanism, basically interpreted from an American perspective. We were playing African-derived rhythms that are still viable today in Africa. Go-go is an offshoot of all that.
Wow.
But it's still, them young bucks took it to the extreme and the artistry that should be really being talked about. They ain't talking about that. It's them young bucks and then the city ordinance, then when it became a little bit of vanilla, and then it became really vanilla city, they stopped that. But them kids, man, they were taking those rhythms to the max. They made it an art. But we kept it, a lot of the bands still kept it in a very primitive, if I may use that with all due respect. They did not use what those young bucks, if they used what those young bucks, then the prominence that is being given to go-go today should be respected if they were using what those brothers were doing.
Wow.
Because if you recall back in those summer days, man, when them little brothers were doing, I'd have to stop and go, for real, because those brothers were taking it to a whole different level.
Yes, sir. I remember that, man. So I want to talk about, you answered some of this. I wanted to talk about your early musical development. And so you mentioned that you're a late bloomer to the music.
I came in. Really, I knew nothing about music even when I was playing the electric bass.
So are you primarily self-taught?
I never had a lesson in my life, but I'll tell you the truth. I tell you the truth. Every day is a lesson.
Yeah.
Playing with you is a lesson. Playing with I remember, but I went to Federal City College before it became UDC, and I snuck in. And Dr. Dawkins,
Miss Coy,
they took me on, man.
Wow.
But then after 3 months, they realized this dude ain't. So they kicked me out because I didn't sign up. I just stupid. I walk and then I go, man, I want to learn something.
Yeah.
That's how much I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
music. Palmore, Kenyatta, I don't know if you remember him. Kenyatta, tall brother.
Tenor player?
Yeah.
I used to play on the corner?
Yeah.
I remember that cat, yeah.
Palmore is the first one that gave me a walking bass line. He says, come on, man, I'm going to have you play some jazz, man. I know you want to play. So I went there for 3 months, and I sat through the classes. And after I got kicked out, all of them asked people who knew me they said, just tell Pepe he can come back anytime he wants. But by then I felt so discouraged that I was kicked out of there, when I'm trying to learn, man, that's when I bought that upright bass. And I took it upon myself to learn. But I had no understanding of the science of music, the theoretical aspects, the modal aspects that go with the chorus. It was raw, bro.
So did you start out on the electric bass or the upright?
Well, I started on the electric bass, and that's funny because I didn't know anything about music, but I knew once it was explained to me, I ain't stupid, man. I mean, I'm a street cat, man. You put 2 and 2 together real fast. So I put them 4. So that's that, and boom, boom. Oh, but this is the same note as this open. And he goes, man, that's because they'd show me a little bit. So when the guitar players would play something, I would go, I got one. Play that again. But if I was to play you some of the things that we came up with, because when we opened up for all those bands, yes, we did a couple of covers. We did a lot of all originals. And they were very sophisticated originals. And about 40% of them, guess who wrote them?
Who?
On my bass lines.
Really?
It was my bass lines that was carrying some of those songs, man.
Wow.
But I didn't know anything about music. I just knew that because I knew the drum.
So you developed a great ear.
No, man, my ear is probably the weakest point of my whole career, man.
Really?
No, but it was innate. It was the creative aspects. I must say, I am very creative. Maybe not musically, but I do,
Yeah. You're a creative person.
Well, on the bass lines, and some of in WHR used to play our music, and the music that they would play were most of them were the ones that I came up with.
So did music come easy for you?
It still ain't coming easy, man. I'm still working at it. Really, now that I'm able to play more chromatically without the hand problems. I'm in the past maybe 10 years that I pulled back from playing out there so much.
So when did you decide to move on from electric bass? I'm assuming you got to a certain level of proficiency.
That's a good question, because when we opened up for Miles Davis, man, there's a story there, man, that I didn't know who Miles was, right?
Wow.
I don't know. So everybody was talking about Miles, and it pissed me off, man. It's like, ZAPATA, man. And I thought it was Buddy Miles.
Yeah,
Buddy Miles, the drummer, not Miles Davis. I didn't know nothing about that, right? But as a little kid, we lived on U Street. And as a little kid, my parents used to work at night, so I would run to the pinball machines, and man, I would hear all those jazz clubs, and especially in the warm weather when the doors open. Wow, what is this? It caught me. It caught my ear, but I didn't understand that was true. So I didn't know much about jazz. The only thing I knew about jazz is that Charlie Bird had the showboat up there on Columbia Road. There when 68 riots, when they put the fire out there and inundated the whole basement, so he moved out of there. But I remember I could hear jazz coming out of there, more guitar involved. But so we opened up for Miles, man, and I'm not going to get into the anecdote because I didn't know who he was, and they asked me to move, and I said, "What do you mean move, man? I built this. We had a platform for our drummer, and he flopped right there because he came. That was after his Ferrari accident. He had a neck brace, and he came in crutches.
Miles asked you to move?
No, his entourage did.
Okay.
And remember I told you that the band came out of a gang.
The
well, the gang was downstairs.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
And we had 3 whistles. One whistle was hurry up and come. The other one was hurry up and come, get ready. The other one is don't ask questions, just hit whoever you don't know.
Wow.
So in my brain, when 2 basketball-looking brothers, tall, man, I mean, man, you got to move. I got to move, man. Y'all got to move. And, man, you don't understand. You got to move. I said, my man, I built this that you sitting on, man. What are you talking about, man? You know, the drummer and I built it for real.
Wow.
God's truth, man. And Miles flopped. I'm sitting here. Miles is here. I could literally do this to him, right? Uh-huh. And there's this little thing, and I'm thinking, am I going to whistle on these?
Yeah.
So the Italian dude smoking a cigar, man, and I remember the light man, the light people, the sound people are still doing the last bit. And the Italian man comes smoking his cigar. Son, can I talk to you? And I said, well, that's a little better. Yes, sir. He goes,
who's this?
This is the Italian dude. It was, I guess, one of the managers.
Okay,
gotcha. You could tell he was Italian, but his mannerisms, the way he was dressed, smoking a cigar, and he goes, I mean, do you know who this man is? And I said, no, I don't. So they tell me who he is, and I proceeded to use some cursing. It's Miles. Bro, the smoke from the cigar stopped. The flies stopped. Everything stopped. The universe stopped, for real. And Miles, with his neck brace, goes like this. You Latin. Now, I got long hair like this, bro. All damn combed back, greased back, y'all mutton chops, and no top.
Yeah.
And I said, excuse me, my man, what you say? And he goes, are you Latin? I go, am I Latin? And I say, yeah, I am. And he goes, sit down, and hits my knee. He said, leave him alone. He used the F word constantly, you know. I'm going, damn, wow, you know. Well, lo and behold, we open up, and then he comes on. I mean, on off the corner, that record, he was playing that.
Woo.
I ain't never heard nothing like that. Bro, I never even I thought that they were aliens playing this music, because I never knew that music like that, funk to the max, just raw in your face, like a tractor coming at you, man. I'm going like, whoa. So I was like flipped. It was 2 shows, by the way. I refused to play the second show, and the band was about to whip my tail, and I refused. And thank God I refused, because Miles was not feeling good. And by the way, this is fact. Anybody who was there will tell you that on the second show, he said he asked his manager to ask us if he could go on first. And we thought, what? I said, he can go on first, second, or third. I ain't playing. And I didn't. I didn't play the second show. I didn't. The band didn't play the second show. We just let Rashan Roland Kirk. But it was going to be just Miles and Rashan, because I refused to play. That blew my mind so bad that, check this out. First song. And then Miles went like this. He was sitting on the semi-low stool, and he went, bro, flat on his face.
Really?
The show stopped. They called an ambulance. They took him out on the stretcher. So then Rashan came out, did his thing, and the band left me at Crampton Auditorium, and I had to walk from Crampton Auditorium to Mount Pleasant at 2:30 in the morning with my bass and these high-heel shoes. So I went, to answer your question, I went and I bought all of Miles Davis, not knowing that I'm buying
his jazz stuff.
I spent all the money I had, and I don't want to tell you how I had that money, but on it. Mm-hmm. And I have all those records still, but I'm hearing Paul Chambers. And I go, oh, wow. And I remember this down on U Street. And then it started evolving from there. And I kept on going back, and I go. So I told a brother that it was a saxophone player. His Muslim name was Moshish Akbar. I said, Moshish, man, is this the big bass?
Yeah.
No, I know Yaya. Yaya and I go back. Yeah, he wanted me to come up and play with Sunrise Band one time. Man. Yeah. No. This was Moshish Akbar.
Okay.
His European name was William Dubose.
Okay.
He said, man, you too little, man. You can't be playing no bass like that, man. You too little, man. Look at you, man. That's a big ass bass. You know, and I'm going like, no, man, you don't get it, man. He says, let me play, and then he plays me Mingus. Wow. Mingus with Eric Dolphy. the Stormy Weather records that very few people have. It's a double album set in one jacket. And man, when I heard that, I just never, I thought that Miles Davis blew my mind. That blew my mind even more.
Wow.
About a month or two later, I went and bought a bass that sat in my corner for like about 6 months, and I didn't know what to do with it, but I just looked at it, and that's when that's how I got into the upright.
What a story, man! But I don't want to skip over Rashan Roland Kirk, man. You got to see Rashan.
Yes. And what he called Miles Davis was worse than what I said.
He called.
He tore them up. Yeah, them sissy ass.
Really?
Using the N word all over the joint, man. Yeah, with them high. You think I'm a blind Negro?
Wow.
I can see you in them high heels and all that flair. Man, I'm going to show you what he gave a sermon for about 10, 12 minutes. And then he lost it. He got up and all his horns going like this, and I don't know how he knew, but he went and found the piano stool, lifted it up and threw it down and busted it all up.
Now, what was he upset for?
Because of Miles Davis and his electric stuff.
Oh, he did. Oh, wow.
Oh, man, that show was, that was historically something to be seen. And the people that were there, and remember that, they go, Peps, man, that was the wildest thing. I said, yep.
Wow, that's great. Now, did you get to hear him play three horns and horns?
Yes, he said, I remember him saying, I followed him after that. Till he died, literally, till he passed. He says, yeah, I'm going to do something that ain't never been done in Western music. I'm going to play three horns in three different keys, and everything's going to make sense.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, man.
He was a genius.
He was.
Yeah.
And I later on, through Bryon Morris, I got to meet Dorothy, his wife.
Okay, wow.
And every time we played Cape May maybe about 5-6 times. Dorothy would always come down with Hilton Ruiz, because Hilton Ruiz played piano with him a lot.
Yeah. Wow. That's something, man. Wow. So you actually went to the University of the Streets.
I am. It's funny because when I, street was so much in me, man, that it's taken a long time to get it off me. Actually, I'm one of the very few left, man.
Yeah.
Most of the brothers that I grew up with, literally 85% of them
and
are dead.
if some of them, they would have never known that if they would meet you now.
But see, the thing is, man, that I was the smallest, lightest skinned dude in the neighborhood, and everybody wanted a piece of the little dude.
Yeah, I had that problem too.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
And you had to know how to hold them hands.
Well, I had a...
Yeah.
I had a notorious name in the street.
Yeah.
Why I'm alive today, my brother been shot, right?
Uh-huh.
He got 2 slugs in him. But why I'm alive today, I shouldn't have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just hit the corner right on the time.
Yeah. We glad you're here, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Oh, man. You said you should practice 6 hours a day and all that. You wanted it that bad.
I wanted it that bad. And I knew why. The universe set it up for me not to be killed in the street or even go darker into the darker aspects of life. Yeah.
Now, did you have the same passion for jazz as when you were learning, or did the Latin, Afro-Cuban and Afro, did that come easier for you?
Well, because I grew up with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew that already,
Gotcha.
because everybody, you see somebody play it and then you pick up the, or the drum or whatever. But the jazz was, me getting into jazz is a tribute to blackness, because I told you I'm a product of blackness. Mm-hmm. I know it's kind of hard, black folk that don't know me go,
yeah.
But I owe my existence in America to black folk.
Wow.
So me playing jazz is a tribute to blackness.
Beautiful. Wow. Beautiful, man. I got to ask you this. You ever see Train?
That's one that, man. The cat that took me to see Sonny Rollins, it was right before Train passed.
Wow.
And we missed him.
Okay.
He was going to drive to Philadelphia, actually, because Train was playing there. Wow. And I didn't go with him.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. What about Cannonball?
No, I didn't catch Cannonball, man. I caught a lot of other people, but those two, I did not, man.
All right.
Now, at the one step down, I caught everybody and their grandmother, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the jazz scene in D.C. when you were coming up. When you started to really get into jazz, and you know, I knew you had the One Step. What are some of the clubs? One Step.
Well,
Pigfoot.
Well, yeah, there was Pigfoot. There was Moore's Love and Joy. There was Mr. Weiss up the street. All those were all within about 5-6 blocks from each other up there on.
Was Columbia Station?
Columbia Station came a little later,
like
yeah.
around with Twins.
But well, see, Twins was up on Colorado.
Yeah.
But before that, it was called Alva's Lounge.
Okay.
A lot of people don't talk about Alva's Lounge.
Wow.
But Alva was the one that started jazz uptown.
Oh, wow.
And then when the Twins took over, it became Twins. But Alva had that for about 10, 11, 12 years before the Twins bought it out.
Yes, I only know the Twins, but yeah.
Right, yeah.
But
Alva's
you
Lounge.
remember Bobby Sanchez?
Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Yeah. I got stories about him, man.
Man, you know, that's the thing about D.C., man. They had characters that came through here, man.
Whoa.
Yeah. Bobby.
You don't get him like that anymore, man.
I mean, one time, Bobby, we was at Twins.
With his turban always.
Yeah, he had his turban on, man. And he had a fur coat on, man. He came in a joke, and man, he had rings and
but Bobby
had a wild.
Bobby was hanging out on. Listen, U Street. You know that the first African American Renaissance was U Street, not Harlem. Are you aware of that?
No.
No, that's history, bro. I'm putting that on. You can ask anybody. The first African American Renaissance took place on U Street. U Street through the late 80s, early 90s, all the way up to about the 50s was like the Mecca for a lot of the writers and great musicians. But then Herring came in and pimping came in.
Yeah.
And man, I didn't know what pimps were until I saw them pimps on 14th Street with their hogs and with their fur coats.
Yeah.
And Bobby used
Bobby's
to hang
one
down. I ain't saying that he was a pimp, but he hung out with those cats.
Yeah, but he was such a great. I didn't know he started the jam sessions at Twins.
Yeah.
And man, we would come because I was going to Howard at the time. Man, he would let us sit in, man, and tell us always talk about Fats Navarro but he was always let us sit in, man, always. And we, like I said, he's one of them cats. You know, his chops wasn't like that, but you respected him because you know he knew he knew his.
He knew the history.
Yeah.
And don't take a gig with him because then you have to go look for your money. Which I did.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. With a cannon in my back pocket.
Wow. Yeah. Let's talk about Carter Jefferson. Carter.
That dude was bad, bro.
Yeah. You played.
I did 2 gigs with him, man.
Yeah.
Man. I even to date, man, with Woody Shaw, man, and what he did also with the Gonzalez brothers.
Yeah.
I mean, man, come on.
Yeah.
You know, Wayne Shorter and him were almost kindred spirits, man.
Yeah.
You know, he was such a small cat like me, man. We were both so small, man. You know, but play that horn, man. Like
he was living in this area and playing.
No, he was born in D.C.
See, I didn't know that.
His father lived right there on. Matter of fact, I'd met his father a bunch of times. On 18th and R, is it? Yeah, 18th and R. There's beautiful apartments, even by today's standards. His father
I didn't know he was
lived
from D.C.
Yeah. He was DC's.
I remember what you know. Matter of fact, he still had my mouthpiece.
He was known.
Yeah.
God bless him. God bless his soul, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, you've had some wonderful experiences, man. Who's some of the great musicians you played with? Carter Jefferson, Junior Cook. I mean, like
there was another one, Junior Cook and Bill Hardman, man.
Just share with our audience some of the musicians that you've had.
Pepper Adams, Clifford Jordan.
Clifford Jordan.
Yeah, man.
I got a story about Clifford. Clifford was playing somewhere. It wasn't in Baltimore, man, but
it was in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing the Mondama Mall Jazz Festival.
Yeah.
Because he had a girlfriend there. His lady lived in Baltimore.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so he was playing, and he called a tune. The piano player didn't know it.
Oh.
And so So he called the piano player and said, I don't know that one.
Was
said,
that
"All
Abdul?
right,
Was
I
that
won."
Abdul? Was that Rashid Abdul Yahya?
No. But he said, the piano player said, I didn't know that. I don't know that tune. He said, okay, I won.
And he just, well,
Yeah.
that same story happened with Junior Cook and Bill Hardman.
Really?
Yeah, it was
Wow.
Rashid Abdul Yahya on Steve Williams on drums.
Yeah.
I'm on bass, and I forgot who the guitar player was. But we thought they said Lady Bird. So when y'all know Lady Bird, because they were drunk out of their brains. I mean, they had a fifth of liquor in a bag on stage.
Wow.
And Hardman was like, I mean, serious, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, serious drunk, man. So we all said, yeah, thinking Lady Bird. Yeah, Health Ness. And we thought, yeah. We started playing, man. Bill Hardman stopped, went into the microphone, called us every name in the book.
Wow.
And he said, no, you mofos. I mean, John Coltrane, Lazy Bird. and Rashid goes, man, no, I don't know that one. And I said, and the guitar player, he says, both of them said to Steve, drummer, hit it. And they played it without the band.
Wow.
And they took chorus after chorus after chorus to prove a point. So in Baltimore, in Mondawmin Mall Jazz Festival.
Yeah. That's how you on the job training.
Boy, listen, after that, we were so discouraged, man.
Yeah.
That I think we did maybe 5 more tunes after that, and tunes that we all knew, man, but we had no respect. You know? We had no respect because they didn't have to do that, man, because there's about 3,000-4,000 people out there, man.
Oh.
It was. I'm not talking about no hundreds. I'm talking about blackheads from here to the end. Yeah, man.
That's heavy.
We walked out of there with a tail between our legs, man.
Wow. You've done, you've performed nationally, internationally. What has those experiences been like for you? Like,
That's how I found out that folk is folk no matter where you go, and the sentiments of folk is, I don't care what color, I don't care what you speak, folk is folk. We're all the same, man.
Yeah.
That's one of the greatest things that came out, but like you were saying earlier, even if we didn't speak Russian, we didn't speak Greek, we didn't speak Italian, or the music was the common language.
No doubt.
And jazz was the common language, more so.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Because we know how powerful that is. It's not written. We improvise and tell the same stories. So that's what I learned from traveling, man.
Wow. And you've been on over 30 recordings?
Yeah, some of them good.
More, yeah.
Some of them are good. A couple of them were, but yeah.
And your debut recording, looking back, what's the concept?
Well, it was, again, I'm a self-taught musician, and I say that with all humility and modesty, man. But these were things that came to me in the 80s that I just put aside and didn't bother with them. But I do remember spending some time on U Street. Actually, about almost a year before we moved to Mount Pleasant was on U Street. We lived on U Street. And hearing all that jazz, man, it's a tribute to that looking back. That's why on the front it's got the Lincoln Center. No, the Lincoln Theater. And then in the back it has the, the Duke Ellington's on 14th Street, on U Street. I paid tribute to that.
Wow.
By the way, when I was like maybe 9 years old, I see this entourage of people on U Street early morning because I was going to play my pinball machines. And I see this entourage and this cat in the middle, the focal point in the middle. And I thought, wow, this cat looks like a prince, man, because he was dressed mostly in white. Not and with the coat draped over his shoulders, and everybody, talking to him, and I just thought, wow, man, he's got to be a king, or kept on going to my pinball machines until later on that I buy his records, Duke Ellington.
You got to see Duke Ellington? Wow.
Walking. Not
just walking?
Just walking, because, they had a home, right around the corner.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Man, You came up at a good time.
Hey, man,
Wow. Dang, man. I wanted to ask you, going back to Maria. Where's that mural located? Do you...
you know the Latin school right there where Missouri becomes, where military becomes Missouri?
Yeah.
You know, 13th Street crosses it.
Mm-hmm.
Before you get to Georgia and before you get to 13th Street,
Right. Okay.
if you're going up to Georgia and you look to the left, there's a school right there. And if you look at the side, the mural is right there.
Okay. I got to go check that out.
I got a picture of it, but I ain't going to go, you know,
Okay.
but yeah.
Beautiful, man. We were talking before we started recording about, like, as a bass player, man, and issues with your fingers. And because a lot of people don't know, sometimes musicians play through pain. And I know Miles had some issues with his hand and stuff. But you would, plus, especially playing an instrument like acoustic bass, man, can you just...
Well, the thing is that for most of my life, I didn't use all my fingers, man, because of certain things that I've gone through. Mm-hmm. And when you confided in people, they stopped calling you. Mm-hmm. You know, I told them a couple of times I can't do a 3-hour gig anymore. Mm-hmm. But that really happened after I had to go through chemotherapy, and I got neuropathy in my feet and my fingers.
Wow.
When the fingers go down, they don't come back up. So it's just raw bone against nerve.
Wow.
And that is, bro, I don't wish that on anybody. But that's been only 11 years. Prior to that, man, my joints and then this from accidents, my finger would lock. My middle finger would lock, man.
Wow.
So a lot of times I'm trying to play some chromaticism and I can't, man. I got... So, you know, for a long time, man, I was literally doing a Django, but I couldn't do it as good as he could do. Django Reinhardt playing the two.
Yeah. Wow.
But thank God, what happened was that during the pandemic, man, I was able to relax my hand and not have to go out there like I used to and damage it even more. Mm-hmm. I think that in the past maybe 4 years, I'm playing what I've always heard that I couldn't play before but now once I get to a certain volume, then my hand starts saying, nah, Jack. It won't go with me, man. Okay. So, you know, now I pick and choose people who play intense, but not necessarily loud to where I have to come out on my solo like I'm coming out of the gate, man, you know. Yeah. So it's something that I had to deal with, and it's been a dismay because, you know, people come over my house and they go, damn, Peps, I don't hear you playing like that on gigs. And I go, Aaron was there, and he goes, damn, Pep.
Aaron Walker?
Yeah, he goes, man. And I go, because I'm always playing. I'm trying to play the volume that cats. I said, I can't play that volume anymore. Yeah. But he heard me play the way I feel I should be playing, with the chromaticism and of course a lot more advanced.
Now, is the electric bass less taxing?
No, the thinner the strings are, the worse it is for the neuropathy. Wow. But it is less taxing on the finger itself, you know, and the cramping.
Wow.
Yeah. But ain't nothing like that upright pop. You know, just when you feel, man, when you feel that mama, you know, just vibrating up against your body, ain't nothing like it, man.
Yes, sir. We almost through here, man. As an educator, you have been assistant director of the Jazz Academy under the direction of Paul Carr for 20 years.
Yes, sir.
You have taught jazz bass and jazz studies at the Levine School of Music for about 23 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You've also been a clinician around the Mid-Atlantic region, and you also teach privately.
Mm-hmm. I teach privately, yeah.
What has your experiences been like as an educator?
Like I said from the very beginning, when you asked me the first question, what is music to you? Well, I learned from my students. Mm-hmm. You know, matter of fact, I demanded they have questions before and after.
Wow.
You know, it is through me trying to be truthful and not an imposter, that I literally took it upon myself to buy books and immerse myself on the piano to learn the harmony in accordance to how it came about, the whole history. Yeah. You understand? Thank God today I can tell you the whole history.
Wow.
30 years ago, 40 years ago, no.
Yeah.
You know, but when somebody put me in that place to teach, I realized that there are a lot of gaps, and I refused to go any further until those gaps were educated. And I'm still educating myself on a constant. But It's been really a wonder because it is me who's being gifted, not them.
Wow.
Well, I shouldn't say they're being gifted, because if I was to give you a roster of the bass players that I put out, I think you'd be surprised.
Wow.
But it keeps me humble because that's the only way you can be with music. Because it's just yeah.
Do you have a music philosophy or a life philosophy that you carry?
Do unto others as you wish to be done unto you. Love thy neighbor as thyself.
Beautiful.
They ain't my words. You know who they come from.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Final questions.
I ain't got no money and I didn't do it.
Your wife, Imani, beautiful singer, man, beautiful spirit.
I agree.
How'd you meet?
There was, back in the 70s when she moved into D.C., we were in practically the same neighborhood. She was on the Columbia Road, and I'm on Mount Pleasant, but I'm always on Columbia Road because that's where, at that time, the restaurants and, the bank was there. So, and I used to play, I played most of the black arenas, and she was always there.
Okay.
Hey sis, hey brother, how you doing? That's all. Hey sis, how you doing? Never went beyond that until late 90s, early 90s. This cat, I don't know if you remember, Kevin Campbell. He was a black piano player and also drummer.
Okay.
Good, and composer. He gives me a call because I used to do a lot of the gigs with him. Talking about cramping. I used to do a lot of gigs, and he says, "Hey, man, I'm going to do I want to do a recording. I want to do a record back then, no CDs, and and the singer requested you, and she used to come. Remember Arnay? Remember the singer Arnay? She was awesome, man. She was like the Arnay.
I remember that.
She went later on. She went with a Sweet Honey in the Rock.
Yeah.
Well, Arnay used to use Nasser and me. Who was the piano player? Well, so Arnay and her used to go to shows together because she loved the way Arnay sang. She had her own style, Arnay did. And Imani's always been with the African side of things and the world side of things. But she's, as you know, she's got tremendous ears and tremendous voice. But when he gave me her name, I didn't know her. I just knew her as, hey, sis, what's up, bro? But she knew my name, apparently, because she said, I want Pepe Gonzalez on bass. So we get together, and we're rehearsing for like maybe about 3 months. And, sometimes after the rehearsal, we would either go to dinner, and the whole group, or part of the group, or lunch, whatever, and we would just basically talk, and then I just, back then she had thick hair. Huge. I mean, she's still, that's my baby, man. But I'm like, wow, so I became infatuated with her.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to make no move on her, But one day, we went out together, because the rest of the band didn't, they all had something. So what you doing, Imani? I don't know, Peps, you want to go eat something? So we went to eat some sushi. And, and while eating, that's when she was eating sushi for a while, because she's vegetarian. But, I told her, may I say something to get it off my chest, but, don't take me wrong, with all due respect. And I said, I'm a little infatuated with you. And she goes, oh. I said, you ain't got to worry about it. You ain't going to hear that. I just needed to get it off my chest. I just want to let you know that. Never said it again. We just kept on being friends until maybe about half a year later when her grandfather was dying and she was going through a lot of... She called me up in the middle of the night, man. And she goes, hi, I said, hey, what are you doing up, And she goes, did you really mean that?
She said, did you really mean that?
Yeah, I forgot when I go, did I really mean, I'm sorry, I lost you there. She says, remember when we were at Café Japonais, you said something, did you really mean that? And I went, well, you think I was going to say something like that and put myself out there like that?
Yeah.
No, yes, I did. It was truthful. That's why I said it. She goes, okay.
Wow.
Never said another until she started coming back and we started seeing each other and we became very good friends, very good friends. And then little by little, you know, we respected each other to where there was, we had a relationship, but not the full intimacy because we wanted to clear ourselves and cleanse ourselves from past things, you know.
Beautiful.
And then, you know, going to 34 years together.
Wow, beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Y'all like a match made in heaven, man. You got two wonderful
We
daughters. Yeah.
that's my guess.
And you have two beautiful daughters.
Twins.
They were little, I think last time they were going off there with college or something, right?
Yeah, they both graduated. They were dancing with Dance Theater of Harlem for years. Beautiful. And then they when Arthur Mitchell died, they went with while they were in college in the undergrad, they went with Alvin Ailey. But then the pandemic came in and all that came in. But they graduated. They both graduated magna cum laude.
Yeah, wow, beautiful.
India just got published by Boa Publishing Company.
Wow.
And she is being paralleled to some big names. We hope, you know, they're very unique human beings.
Yes.
When I'm around them, I have to be spiritually correct.
Yeah.
And personally correct.
Yeah.
Now, they know I'm crazy and they know that. But they demand, they said, Papi, we want our father to be the best that he can be.
Beautiful.
While he's on this earth.
Yes. Beautiful. Man, my man. I love it, man. Final questions. What's next for Pepe Gonzalez?
Wow, man. That's a good question. You know, as you get older, this seems to be an urgency. So the muse has given me a lot of songs that I started. You know, you and I can sit down at the piano and write songs if we wanted to.
Yeah.
We know enough theoretical information. I mean, I can sit there and I tell people, watch.
Yeah.
You know, but that ain't the way I write. The muse gives me something. Sometimes it's just 3.5 measures. Sometimes there's been 4 songs that came to me all in one sitting. And one of them is called The Perception of Beauty, which when people hear it, they think it's either a Wayne Short, and they go, well, I never heard that Wayne. I said, that ain't Wayne Short. But thank you, though. You know. Yeah. So there's this urgency to finish what has been on top of my piano for 30, 40 years.
Wow. As a composer?
I'm.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And trying to harmonize and trying to learn what is it that I'm really hearing. And sometimes it's conventional, some other times it's not. Some cats go, damn, Peps, this works. How did you hear this? Was this by mistake? And I go, no, it took me months to get to what you're hearing, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing, man. I just want to finish that which the muse has given me and still is giving me.
Wow.
You know, I love giving the good vibrations of music to people, but if I don't play for people again, I don't miss it. It's just being truthful to the art form, man.
No doubt.
Just want to be truthful to the art form, man.
Beautiful. Last question. How can people get in contact with you and learn about all this, whatever you're doing? And you can look right in the camera and let the people know how they can get in contact with you.
Wow. I'm not a social media type of cat. Once in a while I get on that. You can YouTube.
I know you're on Facebook, right?
Yeah, but very seldom.
Okay. Gotcha.
You can YouTube and see some of the things that I've done. You can put Pepe Gonzalez bass and things pop up. Or you can put Imani and Pepe Gonzalez and a bunch of things pop up.
Beautiful.
You know, and they'll give you an idea of what we do, because Imani and I, we have a very distinct sound. Our music is like nothing that came out of D.C. Some people tried copying it in the past 20 years, but what we recorded, is no one in D.C. had done anything like it before.
I got to piggyback off that. So I didn't even touch that. When you say you're in Imani's music, y'all have a group together?
We've been blessed with this, practically the same group for like 30 years.
Wow. And
we recorded 3 CDs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And when you hear them, you're going to, especially the first 2, No, I can name names, but I'm not. But now that people are doing it now in the past maybe 10, 12 years, they're getting the kudos. But
Gotcha.
if you listen to our CDs, you're going to find out that it's very unique and very serious.
What is it like being in a band with your wife?
Well, it's funny that you said that because a lot of people think that we got a shtick on stage.
Yeah.
If we disagree, and we don't hold back, man.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to do that. Wait. And the people be cracking up. They be going, "Are y'all for real?" It's beautiful because we're candid. What's at home, we represent it on stage.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Only then on stage, the priority is the music.
Yeah.
But we're the same, when if we bicker, we bicker. No, I'm not going to give you the microphone. I want to talk to the crowd and let them know what's going on. No, you're not going to, things like that, man. And that's what, in a way, that familiarity brings the people even closer to us, man, because people think that got to be a shtick. But that's the way it is.
Beautiful.
We love it. We support each other.
Beautiful. Yes.
We do a lot of things just based on vocals. Actually, that's the way we started. Just based on vocals for about 2 years.
Wow. Man. Well, my brother, man, I'm very thankful.
Thank you.
Man,
Thank you.
This is very informative, man. Entertaining. Man, you laid down a lot of history, man. And that's why we do this, man, because I've known you for at least 30 years, almost 40 years. Mm-hmm. And I'm just learning.
We all learn about each other,
and,
something new,
You're an institution. A lot of times we don't know what we have in this area, like Andrew White, Pepe Gonzalez.
I don't even put me in that pantheon.
Man, you in a space by yourself because you bring a lot to the music community. And
I always had the different perspective on music.
Yeah. And so I think it's important for people to see that, and I think we have to honor the legacy of the people that been through it.
Well, if there's any honoring to do, is the people who we talked about. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones whose shoulders we are still standing upon. And we have to always mention their names. Because when we stop calling their names out, then they're dead.
Ooh. Yeah.
While we keep them alive through their names, it is our duty. That's why I said most of my songs are tributes to people.
Wow. Yeah. Beautiful.
Tributes to people who need to be tributed on a daily basis.
Wow. Well, thank you again, my brother.
Thank you,
Appreciate
brother.
you, man.
Thank you, man.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
you, man.
Yes,
You're
sir,
doing
man.
a great thing here.
Thank you, man. Mm-hmm. Well, there it is. My big brother, the wonderful Mr. Pepe Gonzalez, right here on A Conversation in Jazz. And we'll see you on the next one.